All right, so we've been talking about set theory, and I just wanted to create a video that will compress every basic information about set theory into some few minutes. So just take a look at this. You can always pause where you don't understand. Now, for set, the definition for set, what do we mean by set? It is the collection. So the set is a collection of well-defined objects. Collection of well-defined objects. So the word now is the collection has to do with the bringing together of these objects. Now, another thing is the word well-defined. So what do we mean by well-defined? I mean, in a particular set, especially when we are talking about mathematics, the object bringing together must have something similar. They must have a property that is similar among the objects. So that's why we say well-defined. And another thing is that the object here can refer to numbers. So it can refer to numbers, can refer to items, it can refer to letters, it can refer to names and whatever. So this can refer to everything, but they must be well defined, and they must have similar properties. For instance, I know when you are arranging your house, it is impossible for you to put your pots or pack all your pots and keep them in the parlor, or maybe cook in the bedroom or something like that. So every set has to be well defined. The object there has to be well defined. So in set, we use capital letters to represent sets: A, X, B, Y, and so on and so forth. That is what we use to represent sets. And for the objects or the elements in it, we use, take note that this can also be called elements. So for the set itself, we have capital letters. We always use capital letters. So take note, in set theory, we use what we call braces to represent the kind of the bag or whatever contains or carries the set. So we use braces to represent that. And we use small letters to represent elements that are inside the brace. So we can say A is equal to this. This simply means that this is the set and the elements are A and B. The objects, the items are actually A and B. And we always use a brace to enclose that. So in mathematics, we also have what we call the cardinality of a set. So what do we mean by the cardinality? The cardinality simply talks about the number of elements that are in the set. The number of elements that are in a set. So like this, in this case, the cardinality of this set, the cardinality of A is simply equals to 2, because there are just 2 elements in the set. In some textbooks cannot actually do this. There is no problem. And in this case, you see, we can actually count these elements. We can count them. So we refer to this not just to be a countable set. So this kind of set is countable. It's countable. Why? Because we can construct a one-to-one mapping between the elements in this set to the natural numbers. What I mean is this: if you have, for a set to be countable, if you have A, B, C, D, E, why we say it is countable is because we can write the natural number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we do a one-to-one mapping to the elements here. So if we can do this in mathematics, we say that this is countable. But it's not in every, you see, this set, the cardinality of A is equals to 5. The cardinality is equals to 5. So in this case, we say that the set is also finite. It's finite because you see, you know the smallest element, which is 1, and you know the highest element, which is 5, and you also know the cardinality of the set. So we say that the set is finite. But on the other hand, there are some sets like this. There are some sets like this. There are some sets like this. This is the set of real numbers. This is actually uncountable. It is actually uncountable, and the whole of this set is infinite. Why is it uncountable? Because you cannot actually construct something like this to map every element in this set. So it is actually uncountable. But in some cases, it can be finite. Like for instance, if you have something like this in some textbook, what this means is a closed interval that is a subset of this. Sorry, I didn't explain what this means. Element of this element is membership notation. This E is called the membership notation. So this is a member of this set. So this set is finite because the smallest element there, you can see the highest element 0 and 1, but it is uncountable because we cannot construct this kind of we can't do this kind of construction here. So we say it's uncountable, but it is a finite set. Okay, now on the other hand, this is also an countable. This one is on the other hand, this is countable. This one is countable, but it's actually infinite. And this one is also countable. So this one is countable because you know the elements here, the negative numbers and the positive numbers. That is what forms this. That is what forms this. So this is actually countable. So these are all what we refer to as set. Now another thing you know about set is the notation. Sometimes you see something written like this: A equals to X. This means such that minus 4 less than or equals to X and 5. Or maybe say 1. X being a member of Z. Okay, so one of the things you see in set theory are wonderful looking objects like this, very interesting. But you need to learn how to read this. This simply means, sorry, I missed something here. Okay, this simply means those elements such that the elements ranges between -4 and 1, and the element are members of the integers. So you must learn how to read something like this. So you can also list this element because remember that I said this is countable. So you can list, sorry for this. This element is countable. So you can have the elements to be -4, -3, -2, -1, 0. So we stop there because 1 will not be part of it because this is less than 1. So the highest number here is going to be 0. So this A is a subset of Z. So that brings us to another symbol in set theory. It is actually referred to as subset. So this is what we call subset. So A is a subset of Z. And we can also have something like this. We can also have I don't want to do this. You can also have okay, let me just use any letter, something like this. So if you have something like this in mathematics, let me not use this. Let me use M. Okay, that is better. So if you have something like this in mathematics, simply means that B is a subset of M. But in this case, we always use the word proper subset. So another word for this is called the proper subset. While since this one we can just say a subset of this. So take note of the word proper subset and take note of the word subset. One of the ways that is very good in representing set theory is actually with Venn diagram. If you want to understand the concept of the Venn diagram, you just have to draw a rectangle. So let me do that illustration here. So let me have the illustration here. All right, so if you have, let's take this as a rectangle, a square, whatever you want to think of. Let's just look at 2 circles. Let's look at 2 circles. So here you have a notation like this. So this, I'm going to call this the universal set. So this is called the universal set. So the universal set is actually the collection of every other collection of every other set in a discourse. Like for example, if you have a school, every classroom and every office is what we call a subset, while the school is the universal set. I'm just giving you that particular discourse. So if you have a school, every other classroom or every other office will be the subset, while the school itself becomes the universal set. So we can use this. Some textbook would like to use this. You can use anything to represent the universal set. So this represents the universal set. Now this element is A, and this element you can call it B. Now the truth here is that the objects that are found here, for instance, let me just put 1, 3, and 4 here. Let me put 6, 9 here. Let me put 8, 11 here. Let me put 10 here, and maybe -1. Okay, that is just an example. So you can see in the set A actually contains the element 1, 4, 6, 9, and 3, while the set B actually contains the element 6, 9, 11, 8. And there is something happening. The universal set actually contains 1, 4, 3, 6, 9, 8, 11, 10, and minus 1. So this is a universal set. This is the set B that contains 6, 8, 9, and 11. And this is A that contains 1, 4, 6, 9, and 3. Now, look at something very clearly. I'm going to be making some definitions here, and I'm going to be explaining what is happening here. Now, can you see that there are some elements that are in this universal set that are not in this set? And that is minus 1 and 10. You can see that minus 1 are not members of these elements. So another thing you can see is that A is a subset of U, and B is also a subset of U. You remember I talked about subset, in this case, proper subset. Okay, so we move down here and discuss some very important points, and that is what we call the union. So we can have A union B. A union B, by definition, mathematical definition, are those elements such that those elements are in A or those elements are in B. That is what we mean by the union. Take note, that will mean that the union of A and B, and we use this sign to represent union. Now, what is the union of A and B? It represents all those elements you see in the circles, in these two circles. So in that example, you can see that A union B is the same thing as 1, 4, 3, 6, 9, 8, and 11. Those are the elements in A union B. 1, 4, 3, 6, 9, 8, and 11. Now, on the other hand, we have what we call the intersection. Now, we have what we call the intersection. Remember that, let's go back to that union. Remember that when I was listing this element, I don't repeat element. You don't write an element again and again. Like you can see that in this case, we have 6 here and we also have 6 here. But when I was writing the union, I wrote 6 only once. So when writing union, you don't have to repeat a set, an element twice. Now let us continue. For intersection, A intersection B simply means those elements X, so that those elements are in A, and take note of the word and, those elements are also in B. Now those are the elements that appear simultaneously in A and B. And what are those elements? The elements are what? 6 and 9. You can see where the two elements meet. You can see 6, 9. So the answer to that, A intersection B, is simply 6 and 9. Now take note that when we look at the set clearly, in A union B, there is a problem. First, let me start with this. Let me start with what we call complement. Let me look at what we call complement. The complement of the set. That is, the complement of A is simply those elements such that the elements are not found in A, but the elements are in the universal set. I know you can start thinking of those elements. What are the elements that are not in A? The elements that are not in A are 8, 11, minus 1, and 10. Those elements are not in A, but they are in the universal set. So we have them. Your A complement is simply those elements that are not in A, but in the universal set. Can we list them once again? 8, 11, minus 1, and 10. That is what we refer to as A complement. Some textbook can use A prime. Some textbook can use A bar. All this represent A complement. Now, you can also see that A union B or complement is the same thing as minus 1 and 10. Those are the elements. A union B refers to all the elements here, and the complements are those elements that are not in A and are also in B, and that is minus 1 and 10. That takes us to a very, very important part of what I want to explain now, and that is this. So permit me to put this off. And that takes me to what we call the De Morgan's theorem. The De Morgan's theorem simply says that A union B complement is the same thing as A complement intersection B complement. That is what we refer to as the De Morgan's theorem. The De Morgan's theorem is widely applied in set theory, simply telling us that the elements that are in A union B complement is the same thing as the element in A complement intersection B complement. Now there is a mathematical proof for this, but since what I'm doing is a basic set theory, I'm not going to go into the mathematical proof of that, but we can see that that is true from what we are saying. A union B complement is simply minus 1, and 10. And if you come here, A complement was all this, and B complement, let me put that somewhere here. B complement will be what? What is B complement? It is 1, 4, and 3. If you look at the diagram up there, 1, 4, and 3. Now, if you look at 1, 4, and 3, okay, 1, 4, and 3. All right. So you see, when you look at the A union B complement, you have all this, and when you look at this, you have B complement to be 1, 4, 3, and sorry, I missed something. I missed minus 1 and 10. I'm sorry, I missed 1, minus 1 and 10. That is actually B complement. Now, if you look at these two very well, A complement intersection B complement will be these two elements. Those are the elements that are here and also here at the same time. Here and they're also here at the same time, and that is minus 1 and 10, and that proves that, or that verifies that, not the proof anyway. Now let us move, before we round up the video, let us move to how we can actually describe this better. How can we describe this better? Okay, so look at this. I'm going to put up the number and we're going to give a general definition to this. So the elements that are here are actually A intersection B complement. So the element that you find here are actually called A intersection B complement. The element that you find here are actually B intersection A complement. That is very interesting. That's the element you find just here, just this part. Now the element that are on this shaded part, this shaded part is what we refer to as A intersection B. So the elements here are actually referred to as A intersection B, while the elements here are A union B or what a complement. That is what we have there. Now, for way to move further, now let us look at a case, a very interesting case, and that is what we call the power set. What do we mean by the power set? What do we mean by the power set? The power set has to do with the collection of every possible subset of a particular set. So if A is a set, then the power set of A is simply the collection. There's a collection of all possible subsets or possible subsets. And how do we get to know that? We use the formula 2 raised to the power of n. So if n, where n is the cardinality of the set, where n is the cardinality of the set, remember I talked about the cardinality of the set. So let us take an example of the first set we are talking about that time, and that is A equals to A and B. You can see that the cardinality of this set is 2. So we are going to have 2 raised to the power of 2, that is 4. So the number of elements or number of subsets we are going to have in this power set is going to be 4, and let us list them. That means that the power set of A is going to be equals to the empty set. Remember, I didn't talk about the empty set, but the empty set is actually a set that contains no element. The empty set is actually, and it's also referred to as the null set, also called the null set, as a set that contains absolutely no element. So we have this, we have the set A, we have the set B, and finally we have the set A and B. So those are this is the collection of all the possible subsets of this particular set A. That is what we refer to as the power set of a particular or a given set. So we end like this. We end like with the application of this set theory. So we end with the application. And what is the application? Let us consider a classroom. Let us look at a classroom. And in that classroom, we have 50 students in the class. We have 50 students. We have 50 students. We have 50 students, and we have 27 boys, and we have 31 girls. So 27 boys love. In that class, we have 27 boys that love Coke. I'm sure some of you watching over there, you like Coke. So 27 boys love Coke and 31 girls love the Fanta. It's the Fanta. So we want to know those who love both Coke and Fanta. So we want to know the number of students. We have 27 boys, we have 27 girls. Oh, okay, let me just leave the boys and girls. Okay, let me leave the boys and girls. Let's just say 50 students. So we don't know which one are boys and girls. I think it's better this way. So 27 love Coke and 37 love Fanta. So we want to know how many students here love both Coke and Fanta. Yes, this is application of set theory. We can actually know by calculation without having to go to the class. Yes, very interesting. Let's try to do that very fast. So in mathematics, we say the number of students who love Coke is equals to 27. The number of students who love Fanta is equals to what, 31. And the number of elements in the universal set is equals to 50. So what we do, we draw two non-disjoint sets. So if we have something like this, we call it, in mathematics, we call it a disjoint set. So take note of this. This is called a disjoint set. Disjoint set. A disjoint set. So, but this is not a disjoint set because we have an intersection, a non-empty intersection. So let us refer to this as Coke and let us refer to this as Fanta. So first, we want to know what are the elements here, C intersection F. That is what we want to know. But we already know that those who love Fanta is 31. So what we do here, since we don't know this, we put the X there. Now those who love Fanta is 31. So this will be 31 minus X. 31 minus those who love both. While this one is those who love Coke. So this is those who love Fanta. Those who love Coke is 27. So this is going to be 27 minus X. And we know that this is actually equals to 50. So this is actually equals to 50. So at the end of the day, what do we do? N of U will be the same thing as the sum of all this, which is 27 minus X plus 31 minus X. And that, you see, this is 50, this is 27, and this will cancel this, plus 31 minus X. And you see, when we solve this simple algebra, we are going to have minus X to be equals to 50 minus 58. Minus 58, and we say that X will be equals to 8. So you see that 8 students, so it means that, permit me to wipe this off. So it means that the number of students who love Fanta and Coke is actually equals to 8. Very interesting. I hope you take note that in this class, everybody loves either Fanta and Coke. Everybody loves either Fanta or Coke. So there's no student that hates both drink in that set. So I round up by giving this particular instance, and that is that for any two sets, A, B, that are subset of U, the number of elements in U is going to be the same thing as the number of elements in A plus the number of elements in B minus the number of elements in A intersection B. Or you can say that the number of elements in A union B is the same thing as the number of elements in A plus the number of elements in B minus the number of elements in A intersection B. So this formula can be used in the case where we don't have non-exclusive mutually events. So this formula can be used to solve this same question. Just replace 50 here and replace those two other numbers here. You see that you're going to solve the same problem. So I'm trying to bring the whole concept of summarize the whole concept of set theory, elementary set theory, or basic set theory. You can check your textbook to read further. Thank you very much. Learn how to also share the video and subscribe. Thank you.